What is up, guys? How are you? Happy 2022. I hope you guys had a great start to the new year. Let me check out the live chat, see who's in here. Give me a second. Feels good to be back, man. Feels good to be back. That is for sure. It has been a minute, guys. I think everything should be working correctly now. There should be no issues. Let me know, as always, how the audio sounds, how the video looks. I see Sofa's here. What's up, Sofa? It's been, like I said, it's been a while. Morcavia Studios. Glad to see you guys, man. Bruno Santos. He says, hello, Gaucho. How have you guys been? That's the first thing on my mind. That's the first thing I want to talk about. I want to know how you guys started off the year. If you have any 2022 New Year's resolutions, things that you want to do in this new year, even if it doesn't have to do with UFOs, let me know in the chat. I'm checking out the status, and finally, guys, it looks like the image is coming in clear. The sound is good, right? Everything is moving and working the way it should. Do me a favor, take the link to this live and share it on Twitter. Let's see if we can get some people in here. I think people assume that I'm dead, even though I'm the Undead Gaucho. So, you know, that's not going to happen anytime soon, at least. I see Henry. What's up, Henry? He says, Happy New Year. Tim F. Hail. No. Hail to you, Tim. Morcavia Studio says, busy. Had a 5th kid just before Christmas. Been busy. Oh, man, congratulations. That's beautiful. That's beautiful news, man. I just realized because I did this, people are going to think probably that I'm like in the Illuminati or something, but no. I'm too poor to be in the Illuminati. Sofa says, abduct that like button and share to your homeworld. Love that. The Paisley Wave. He says, video looks great. Did you change ISPS? I changed my service. Now, to be honest, this was a total pain. And I really couldn't figure out how to fix it because I got a new router. I got the company to come and check everything out. I had a new computer when this all started happening. So I was like, maybe it's the computer. The internet company started giving me the runaround after like the 2nd or 3rd time that I called and said, hey, you guys need to like come here and like change the connection from outside or whatever you have to do to get this to work, because I'm only having an issue when I try to stream. And they basically told me that it must be malware on my computer, but the computer was new. So I had a service guy check the computer. So now I'm like, you know, trying to get somebody to fix the computer. Is it the computer? I'm thinking, did I get hacked? Is somebody like messing, like, did somebody mess up the brand new computer? Service guy looks through everything. After I personally tried to look through everything, but I'm not that computer savvy. I'm not that techie. And he said, yeah, look, bro, this computer's new. So like, there's nothing wrong with it. Trust me. They were just like feeding you a number or a line to keep you with them. So I just ended up calling another service and getting a new service, and it's working great now. But I did a bunch of stuff. I did everything I possibly could to try to get it fixed. I missed coming here and talking to you guys and sitting down and having these chats. You may have noticed I've been recently like on Twitter a lot. Mostly because of the movement in the community, everything that's been going on, you know, with the Gillibrand Amendment and the changes and all this stuff. I kind of took a step back a while ago, not from talking to you guys in the lives, but creating content, because I've been trying to focus on something that I want to create. I don't just want to like put out stuff that you guys have already heard or that you've seen, or basically I don't want to keep talking about everything everyone else is talking about, because I feel like there's a lot of great channels out there and great voices doing that already. So for me, this is more for like, touching base with you guys and having like a real relationship with you guys, other than my tweets and other than you watching some of my videos at times. It's like, I want to know what you guys are thinking. So I'm glad to be back. New year, some new ideas, definitely a new way that I want to approach this. And that's kind of what today's topic is about, like rethinking how we approach the UFO topic. On this little creative hiatus, because I got kind of, it happens often. It's kind of like writer's block, where like you're trying to be creative and you're just forcing it and you feel like you're forcing it. So I've been drawing too much, sketching a little bit here and there, looking at different things, going down the rabbit hole every single day. And going down the rabbit hole, when I say that, for those of you listening or those of you watching, that means just researching, right? And I like to do it my own way. I will pick some music, research a topic, research an idea, look into it, follow that trail, see where it leads me, go from there, continue. Sometimes I'll look into 5 things and end up on something completely different by the end of the night. I started looking into a few months ago just footage of grays, like of the occupants, the UFO occupants, really. Any sort of humanoid being or whatever tied to the craft. I wanted to find something. So I'm reaching out to everybody on UFO Twitter. For those of you that don't know what UFO Twitter is, it's a group, or a hashtag, better said, a hashtag on Twitter that we use kind of so that we're all on the same page. We can all kind of see what everybody's talking about when it comes to UFOs. That's how I view it. So I'm reaching out to people saying, hey, send me something. Show me what you got. And most of the stuff I got was Skinny Bob, which I've looked at a bajillion times. I've found so many flaws in it. But who knows, right? Still unproven. And the Turkish UFO sighting, the one that some people say could be a cruise ship. So I got those are like the 2 main ones. Another person sent me a clip, which is the little autopsy from the Russian KGB footage that came out a long time ago. I think it's been like what? Because I think it was the 90s when it came out. It was in a documentary about Russia and UFOs. A documentary which actually is pretty trippy because there's some interesting stories in it. It's the one where you guys have probably all seen the footage where there's like a crashed UFO in the snow and there's Russian troops around it. Some people think it's staged. All I know is that the autopsy of the little creature, you can't find the source, but I'm so convinced, because to me it looks like I don't know, a prop, right? I couldn't find the source, so I was looking for it. I went through like 1,000 cheesy 80s, 90s UFO movies to try to see if I could find this, because I could have sworn that years ago I saw a kind of low budget filmmaker kind of channel on YouTube that did VFX, and they did something like they recreated an autopsy, and it's not. I kind of got tongue twisted there. I got tongue twisted because I was about to say it's not the one that everybody knows about, because there is a video floating around that I shared on Twitter of somebody recreating an autopsy that actually got shared and still gets shared today as a real autopsy, but it's not. There's a bunch of stuff like that. So really the direction that I'm headed in with this, what I'm saying here is that I went so deep and so hard on this for the last few months. I mean, I've been doing that forever, for years, but just rebooting into it like the way I used to do it when I was younger, which was like just go through every thread that I could, go as deep as I could, try to find the source. I realized that there are many things online that still circulate today that people will shoot in my direction or show to me that I know exactly where they're coming from. I know what the source is. Not everything, right? Not everything is a hoax. But here's what's going to trip you out the most is that most of these things that we say are a hoax, a lot of the times it's just an art piece or a film or something that was created not as a hoax. It was created as a piece of art or something that somebody just wanted to do. something they thought was fun. You know, a filmmaker wanted to try something. And we take it in this community, not us, not me and you, but maybe certain people in this community will take it, cut it up, and then share it. And it ends up becoming like just stuck in the matrix forever. It's like circulating and circulating. So yeah. So when I say rethink how we approach the UFO topic, some people, I've been saying it on Twitter, and I've noticed like some people thinking like, why are you telling us how we should do things? It's not, I'm not saying anyone has to listen to me. When this new year started, I felt like it is 2022. The Gillibrand Amendment is passed. You know, we have the Galileo Project. Now they're working on Project Titan and, in San Marino. And there's a whole bunch of stuff going on. But the world is still kind of not caught up to you and I on this topic. I don't know if they ever will be caught up to our level on this topic. I know how long it took me to get to this point, to have these kinds of thoughts, to have these kinds of ideas when it comes to the UFO topic. I went through like all the stages, right? Get into it at first, you're a little gullible. Then you learn about the frauds, the hoaxes. You learn about all the different things that actually sort of muddy the water. And the worst part is that there are many things that still remain. So the mud is still there. It's like we need to work on cleaning it. Let me check out the live chat. Let me see how you guys are doing. And again, man, it feels great to be back. Thank you guys for being here. It means the world to me that you guys would take the time out of your day to sit down and chat with me. Let's see what you guys are saying. Morcavia Studio says, I've been delving extremely deep into every Lou Elizondo interview the last few months with that free time I had. That's good. That's great. I think he does, at this point in time, he is at the precipice of this conversation. He is at the forefront of the change that's happening. Him, Chris Mellon, that whole team, they are at the forefront. Skyfort, I think that's the name of their little enterprise, or their collective. I don't know. I'm not sure what it is. I don't want to use the wrong words and insult anybody, but Skyfort is doing work behind the scenes on basically helping us get closer to the truth. I think, right? I don't work directly with them, so I don't know, other than reading what they're telling me or hearing what they're saying, what's going on. And that's something I think we should always remember. Like, I'm 100% behind Lou and Chris Mellon and everybody that's doing the right thing, in my opinion, the people that are pushing the ball forward. But that's all I can do. Unless I was working with them behind the scenes, then I could tell you guys what was going on, but I'm not. But I think it is a positive thing, and I think they've been doing great. So definitely look into the interviews, check out what he's saying, because it's great. It's important. What do you guys think about this? I did notice that in this new year, like when everything started to change, I started sort of speaking out against, not speaking out, just sharing my thoughts. That a lot of the focus right now is thanks to intrusions over restricted airspaces or tampering with, nuclear test sites and all this kind of stuff, nuclear weapons or whatever. And I just keep coming back to the idea that there's a lot of everyday average people that have been affected by this phenomenon, and it doesn't seem like the focus is being put on them. I understand that these are the cards that we were given. These are the hands that we have to work with right now. This is the game that we're playing, this chess game, where it's like people were saying, oh, you guys thought this was going to be the threat narrative was going to play out. I don't think that's what's happening. I never did. But it is true that the word possible national security threat, and that's still in there. It's still tied in there, right? Also, let's not forget that the Gillibrand Amendment was part of a defense bill. You know what I mean? It's not part of like a science bill or anything. It's part of a defense bill that has a lot of things in it, but it's money. It's $770 billion that's going to defense, right? So are we out of the water with that? I don't know. I do think that no matter what, if this topic is really going to take it to the next level, and it's going to go into the next level openly in that front with the military, and I mean, it's obvious they've been looking into it forever, but if it's going to be openly talked about, it's going to become a real issue. There's no way they're not going to be baiting them, trying to get the tech, doing whatever they can to get their hands on it first before any other superpower can. And that's to say that they haven't already been doing that for years. Like, I don't see why not. If UFOs are real today, that would mean they were real 50, 70, 80 years ago, 100 years ago. And I don't see why they wouldn't have been trying to get their hands on craft or technology this whole time. Maybe it wasn't openly discussed. Maybe it was the top of the black, right? The darkest secret. It was the war behind the scenes that we couldn't see. I don't know. But I still can't find my footing because I'm from the old school kind of era where like you didn't trust the government. Because if you look at the past, the relationship we've had with the government and UFOs and this idea of being labeled a conspiracy theorist for believing in Area 51, then Area 51 actually is a thing, for believing in UFOs, and UFOs is actually like a real thing. It's an unhealthy relationship, just like the relationship we have with the phenomenon, where it's like always hiding in the shadows. It's showing itself to a select few of us, but not all of us. And it may have its reasons, which I've discussed a million times. But I really think it's kind of like a bad relationship. How do you trust somebody that's lied to you a million times? Right? They got a lot of work to do before you can trust them again. That's how I feel about it. And they're doing the work, even though I don't consider Lou Elizondo and Chris Mellon some government psyop or anything. I actually see them very separate from the people that deleted his emails at the Pentagon. You know what I'm saying? Those people still exist. There is still that side of this gamble that we're playing here. You know, we're playing chicken. But for what? I mean, I'm trying to figure that out still, right? I know what I'm doing. I'm searching for the truth. And I was 100% behind it and supporting it, the push to get, you know, Congress informed and to get this topic taken to where it was taken, because I know how the world works, right? I would say 99% of the world is like focused on the news and focused on politics. I am an oddball when it comes to that. I don't really care, right? I don't care too much about politics. That some people might think that's ignorance, but I don't care really what they think. And so I was really pushing for that so that the general public could wake up and we could kind of get to where we are today. I'm not sure what the rest of it's going to be, what it's going to entail. It's like we had that one choice to push the ball forward. It was the only hand we were given to play with. So I played with it, right? I used it because that's what we got to do. But it doesn't mean we're clear and the government's the good guy, or it doesn't mean any of that. It means that we need to all think for ourselves and keep our eye on the ball and remember that the truth is the truth no matter what at the end of the day. And that's what we're in this for. Now I'm saying all this because the moment I started to say things a little bit differently or a little bit out of the context of the script that kind of was being laid out in front of me, not physically, but you know what I mean, metaphorically, by the community, not you guys, but just in general, like what I knew I had to say to make everybody kind of come with, you know, follow me or talk to me or continue to interact with me, wouldn't have been the things that I just said right now. You know, I have to follow the beat of the drum, the war drum, or else I lose. You know, people around me will stop talking to me. They'll think, oh, this guy's talking about a psyop. I'm not talking about a psyop. I'm not talking about negative things. I'm not saying anything negative about Lou Elizondo or Chris Mellon, but I do get the feeling the moment I start asking a little bit too much or thinking a little bit outside of the current context of the conversation, I see people push away. And I'm like, whoa, like we shouldn't all be on the same page here. We shouldn't all be saying the same exact things. We should all have our own opinions, our own thoughts when the topic is still unexplained. It's not like we're arguing over something that is defined. We still don't know who or what is behind the phenomenon. Yes, we know that there are unidentified objects in the sky. We know all about UFO history, but we still don't have anything to really guide us into the motives behind the pilots of these craft. So my 2022, when I started it, it was kind of like, okay, what are you going to do? Are you going to just follow kind of the path that is set in front of you, or are you going to do what you feel like you need to do, which is think always outside of the box, ask questions that need to be asked, you know? So I've been really trying to just dig and see what I could find, anything interesting. I really don't understand why it is that we haven't heard of a big case, a big UFO case that isn't tied to the government in a long time. You know, other than the Tic Tac, the gimbal, the Go Fast, the FLIR video, all these videos, all the last drops that we've had, it's all been tied to kind of the government and the Navy and intrusions into restricted airspace and all this stuff. It's like, I don't want to have a debate about drones all day. I don't want to talk about the military industrial complex. I don't want to talk about politics. I want to talk about the phenomenon. I don't want to mix it all together like we do with everything else. You know, this was the one topic, the one thing that could have made us realize that, like, hey, there's something way bigger out there than us. There's something more to this universe and to this reality and to this everything around us. And for some reason, we always put it back into this box. So yeah, let me check out the live chat again. Let me see how you guys are doing. I see Alien Girl's here. What's up, Alien Girl? If you guys aren't subscribed to her channel, please go check her out. She's awesome. Angel Wings, how are you? She says, hey, light beings, love you all. Love you too, man. Paranormal Blip podcast. He says Chris Leto has a series of very good videos on the Turkish UFO events. He does have a series on the Turkish UFO events. I also suggest you guys go check out Chris Leto's work. He does some great analysis, seeing as he knows what he's talking about because he's actually a pilot, so he knows kind of what he's saying. I would say he's probably one of the best people to listen to when it comes to analysis of what the pilots are seeing. Let me keep going down. Let me see what you guys are saying. Bruno Santos says, hey, buddy, what about the Valgarce UFO? Real footage? The Valgarce UFO. Let me check that out. By the way, I got a new little table. My wife picked up a table. And so he's talking about the Argentine case. I should have known. Valgarce is in Argentina. I'm gonna look into it. I haven't looked too much into it, but you know what the problem is? I'm gonna get back to kind of what we're saying. Thank you for bringing that up, Bruno. Because I have, like I said, I've been digging and looking for anything that I can, anything that can help get us closer to the truth, or something that maybe we've missed, or cases that we've overlooked. And like I said, there are cases out there. There were cases that I thought 100% were legitimate cases when I was younger, that now I was like, wait, how did I miss this? You know, how did I miss this little hidden part? You know, it's kind of trippy. It's like a game of telephone. It's not our fault. It's nobody's fault, right? It's like over the years, the story passes on, and it grows like like a legend. And the closer and closer you get to news or information that came out when the story first came out, when that case first came out, is when you kind of get the clearest picture, because the rest of the time it's thousands of people over time, over years, asking questions, some people adding to the story, some people taking pieces and parts of it and recycling it, and it becomes this mutant of a story. But what I've been trying to do is like go back to the source, right? So the Balcarce case, I know that it's an old case from Argentina, so it's good that he brought that up. I think I need to analyze it and look into it a little more. I just really hope it's not, it doesn't give me the wrong the wrong feeling. I don't know if it was because I was debunking to myself so many cases on my own time, on my downtime. And I'm not a debunker, right? I'm skeptical in a healthy way. But I believe the phenomenon is real. But I also believe we need to clean this space up, man. We need to clean this up, because the next generation that comes in here to look into this topic, because who knows? At this rate, I don't know if we're going to figure out who or what is inside the craft. I really don't. For those of you that are experiencers listening to this, I'm not saying that what you're saying is not true, like what you've experienced. I'm saying I want to see some footage. I want to see just some evidence to help push this conversation further, right? I understand the whole backstory. I understand everything. I get it. I've heard everything. And do I know everything? No. I'm just saying I've read everything. I've looked at a lot of stuff. So most of the stuff I hear, I've already heard before. Maybe I won't remember the exact details, but the moment I look into it, I'm like, oh, I know about this case. Forgot about this one. Or, hey, I've already looked into this 10 years ago. And some of it, we just got to get rid of it, man. That's all I'm saying. But thank you for bringing that up, Bruno. I'm going to definitely look into that. So, man, it feels good. It feels good to be back, man. And everything's working correctly. God, it is so difficult to do these things when nothing is working correctly. Do me a favor, guys. Again, if you can, take the link to this video, share it on any social media platform that you use. Let's see if we can get more minds up in here. And we can continue this discussion. So I want to know what you guys think, right? Because lately I've been looking so far into the past and realizing that a lot of the things that were said 50, 60 years ago, we're still saying today in the same exact way. And a lot of people don't realize that because they don't look at stuff from 50, 60 years ago. They don't want to, or they are new to the topic, or maybe they forgot. But the national security threat thing has been, that's been going around for years and years. And it seems like just now it's finally got a little bit more of a push. Maybe the people in Congress are a little more open-minded. You know, they're from our generation. So they want to know about they aren't as close-minded as the people in the past. But I really do think one of our biggest problems is that there's lots of tropes too. You know, yesterday I was looking at airship, you know, the old airship cases where they weren't seeing, or that was really what they could relate it to was airships, right? People were seeing mysterious airships. And there's a lot of cases. And at the time, that's kind of what they had to relate it to, right? Then Buck Rogers and sci-fi kind of came in, and you started getting these like humanoid aliens showing up in like the 50s, you know, or Feo Angelucci and was his Valiant Thor, these kinds of stories. And they were from Jupiter, or they were from Mars, they were from the moon. And the more we learn about space, the more we learn about science, the more we learn about how these things really work, those stories kind of start to fade away. They start to disappear. You know, they're no longer from Jupiter. Now they're from other dimensions. They're no longer from Mars. They're not Martians anymore. Now they're, you know, they're from the future. And I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm saying as a believer, as somebody that thinks the phenomenon is very real, it makes me start to wonder, are there tropes that that are ingrained into this topic that continue to sort of navigate and work as a direction for us to think when we approach this, right? Like I would love for somebody to come into this topic with a complete clean slate and not have to go through all the garbage that I've been through in all these years. There's some beautiful cases, beautiful experiences I've had picking up certain books and looking into certain things. But there's also lots of stuff that, like, it was a waste of time. Lots of frauds, lots of hoaxers, lots of amazing ufologists that I hope don't get forgotten. Seeing as ufology as well is kind of turning into this thing that, you know, it's not good to be a UFO researcher. Who do you trust now? You know, not the UFO researcher. A lot of people don't. I'm glad that the academic community is looking into this, but if you really look into the past, there were a lot of intelligent academics that looked into this, not at the level that maybe today, you know, I don't think they were as open-minded as the academics today, you know, the scientists at the Galileo Project and everything that's going on like that. But there were groups, small groups of scientists and intellectuals that were interested in this topic and looking into it. So it's not completely new, but it is a new push and sort of like a reboot. And there's nothing wrong with a reboot. It's kind of like getting an upgrade in your system. You know, the programs are still working, but now they're working faster. I see Anonymous Rex is here. He says, "Hi everyone, thank you for the show." Kathy Splash, she says, "Fun fact, the U.S. government has spent billions of dollars looking for aliens since 2010. Yeah, that is a fun fact. And if you think about Project Sign, Project Blue Book, Grudge, and you just really dive into it, you're going to realize there was a lot of money spent looking into this topic. This has been a very serious topic, which is what makes it so hard for me to go like, oh, they don't know anything. They've been looking into this and they don't know anything. It's been very difficult for me to be like, ignore all that and just be like, okay, let's just forget about all that and let's trust them and let's move forward and focus on that. I'm like, I'm going to like give them a chance, right? I'm going to see what's going on. I'm not going to be like screaming psyop or freaking out and thinking everybody's trying to, you know, trick me into believing something that isn't real. I'm just going to be vigilant and aware the best that I can. If you guys are hearing some coughing in the background, another thing you should know is that COVID is probably going to make me like mess up the stream now because I said that. It's very, very real. So if there's any of you that still don't believe that out there listening to this or watching this or whatever, it's very real. After the new year, guess how your boy, the Undead Gaucho, and his family started the year? I got COVID. And that's why I didn't start the lives till now. It's like I was trying to get over that. And then after about a week and some days, I started feeling a little better. But I had like this feeling of like being completely tired all the time. Like anytime I did something and I had a cough, and my wife has a cough too, so we're still coughing. But go get, protect yourselves. Be smart, right? Do what you want to do, I guess. But take it from me. If you trust me and you believe me, I'm not trying to feed you any misinformation or anything, but I wouldn't want to know what that'd be like without getting the vaccine, basically. Because the first few days of it, for me, I had it the worst out of everybody, were pretty gnarly. The first day was gnarly. Like I woke up in the morning and I was like, oh dude, I can't breathe. Oh no. Like I was like, I got COVID. Totally. Like I couldn't breathe for a few, like a good amount of time in the morning. I panicked a little bit and then I kind of calmed down and walked and got up and moved around and kind of like, almost like, you know, have you seen Don't Look Up? Remember when the scientist was having the panic attack when Leonardo DiCaprio's character is having the panic attack in the bathroom and he's grabbing his ribs. It was like that. I woke up like that. I'm gonna die. And I'm just glad I'm okay. I'm glad everybody's okay, my family. And yeah, so just be careful, guys. A little update there, some personal deets. Yeah, I got a cough right now. Give me a second. I'm back. All right, so let's check out the live chat. Anonymous Rex says, you know what? I'm totally not doing what I should be doing here because I'm rusty and I haven't done this in a minute, is share your messages on the screen, man. We've been going for how long now? 36 minutes, and I haven't shared any messages on the screen. I'm sorry. Anonymous Rex says, it seems like they are here in our oceans and skies already and have been for eons. I mean, that is probably the direction I'm still headed in, right? It's crazy because I have such a hard time dealing with John Keel's take on this topic, right? The trickster element, the non-physical entity or whatever it is that can kind of make us see this phenomenon. It can make us see kind of what we want to see. So if we're all believing in UFOs, it kind of makes us see the pop culture iconic UFO. It was difficult for me to process that in the beginning. But the more and more I look into this, you know, I think of Valet's work and I think of his work and I go like, what if it is something like that? You know, it's been here this whole time. Somehow, some way it has not really evaded us, because if we think about something that's been here for eons, that comes and goes and appears when it wants and bright lights. I mean, literally just look at the religions of Earth. I honestly believe that the moment you look at that in this context, you start looking at it that way, you're going to look at it completely different for the rest of your life. And that's the way I've looked at it for a long time now. It's like, not saying anything bad about it. I'm saying if it's good for you, it's good for you. But I'm saying I see an angel as an alien. I see, you know, a jinn as an alien. I couldn't see it as anything else. You know, if it's not from this earth, it's from another realm. I don't care what realm it's from. It's an alien. So yeah, I think they may be in our oceans. You know, we have stories like Atlantis. I mean, the crazy part about it, man, the difficult part about it is that humans have this way of recycling myths and recycling stories, right? So you look into stuff and you go down these crazy rabbit holes, these wild rabbit holes that never end. You could be days and days and days going down this rabbit hole, maybe years going down it. And then you realize like they're all talking about the same thing. Like there's 7 stories written in 7 languages that are literally talking about the same thing. And it's kind of a trip, because then you're like, well, was it all just an embellishment? You know, where did it all start? Let me see. I'm checking out the live chat. Sorry, I had to cough again. I got distracted, guys. Let's see. The Paisley Wave says, when discussing this topic with others, I begin with contrasting how far our tech has evolved the last 150 years with the billions of the potential past civilizations out there and their potential tech. That is so true, man. I think, I don't know what it is about the way I view humans. I view myself and our whole species. Like, it fascinates me that we think we have a definition and an understanding of everything. Like, we understand the past completely. And again, here's this thing with like bad stuff being recycled. The dinosaurs we grew up on probably didn't look anything like what we think. You know, they probably had feathers, and we were taught, and we saw movies, and we pop culture kind of ingrained this idea into us of these scaly lizards. You don't walk around the city and look at birds and think, oh, they're remnants of the dinosaurs, right? Some of them, and you should do those things, but instead we see some dirty pigeons. But I think that's great that you begin with contrasting how far our tech has evolved. I was saying this today or yesterday about the craft going over the military, you know, the military, I was about to say, no, the nuclear plants and all that stuff. Like, couldn't they just hack the plant? Like, couldn't they just hack what they needed to hack? I've been thinking about that recently, like with the hybrid program, for example, in the abduction area of this conversation. Couldn't they just basically use like a CRISPR and create like a bunch of clones, or just use a small piece of samples, or use some samples? They don't have to keep abducting people over and over again for some big hybrid program, I think. Not if their technology is so advanced. We should compare it to ours. We should think that they should have that kind of understanding, unless their technology is only limited to the capabilities of their craft. And then the rest is kind of like, you know, maybe they're not as technologically advanced as we would imagine. I think most of the stuff they do, other than how they fly their craft and the speed their craft moves and all that stuff, is like pretty basic and pretty limited. Like, it's pretty like the cow abduction stuff, the cow mutilation stuff. You could say cow abduction. Sometimes they take them up in the sky, right? The cow mutilation stuff. Like the other day I was saying, why do we trip out so much about it when we like totally do horrible things to livestock? You know, we're like, oh no, look how they cut their cheek out and cut out their udders and core out this and that. And I'm like, dude, have you seen what we do to cows? Have you seen what we do to animals? Like, maybe they're doing the same thing. And the fact that they're even doing it to study the animal or whatever it may be, if it is the phenomenon, right? If it is the phenomenon doing that, then I would say that shows that they're basically treating an inferior species very similar to the way we treat inferior species. And that's kind of barbaric. You would think that an advanced, technologically advanced species that's coming and talking about love and light and saving the planet would not be, you know, abducting people, one, without their consent, two, doing experiments on people, or tampering with nukes, or whatever, half the stuff that people are saying is going on. You would think that if they were really like, I don't know, peaceful, loving beings, or advanced in intelligence, they would like they would be, I imagine like peaceful or advanced people should be like peaceful. Like, I don't think we should continue this chain of violence and wars and stuff. I feel like the smarter we get, the more peaceful we should get. The more easy it should be for us to avoid confrontations, because the smart people out there can avoid confrontations. I'm not saying that confrontations should never happen, but I'm saying there's so much stuff, dude, that like, I like that you said that. You begin with contrasting how far our tech has evolved over the last 150 years. Think about how the craft, the shapes of the craft, the way the craft fly, those things have not changed for at least the last 70 years. You know, people have been seeing the same shapes, the same flight characteristics, the same observables for years. That's also really interesting to me. Morcavia says the Nova Scotia USO near Halifax, was pretty intriguing. You know, the USO stuff, last night I was looking at Blue Book cases. There's this book out there, I think it's called obviously like USOs, USOs and the real story of USOs. It's an old book. I'll see if I can share a link later on Twitter, but it's Blue Book Cases of USOs. And the interesting thing about USOs is that a lot of people will tell you that UFOs are normally seen around large bodies of water or some kind of water. And I think if they can do everything they can with these craft, why not just chill in the water? Like, it's the best place to chill. Like, if I was them, I'd totally be hanging out in the ocean. It just seems like there would be spots on the planet, if I could fly around the planet super quick, where nobody could find me and I could just relax. And when you think about it too, and what would you do? Here, let me ask you guys something. What would you do if, let's say I might have said this in like the last live, but I can't remember now. We're going to consider 2022 a new slate. There might be some stuff we already talked about for sure, but we'll consider it a new slate. What would you do if, your grandmother passed away, she leaves you a house, and then you go into the garage, and in there you find a Tic Tac and a journal. And in that journal, it explains to you exactly how to use it. Would you hand that over to the government? Would you learn how it works and fly it and use it, right? And maybe try and think of a plan, a better plan than just handing it over. Maybe pick out a select few group of, or a select scientist, some brilliant scientist, fly it into their backyard, take them on the craft, tell them how you got it. Don't tell them who you are. Tell them you're going to visit them every so often to see what they can learn from it. I don't know. I was thinking, how would you do that? Because everybody would try to get their hands on it. I would be a little conflicted. I don't think I'd be able to just hand it over to the government. I'd be like, I probably wouldn't know. I've thought about it for a few times already. And I think I prefer to just figure out what I'm going to do with it, right? And then try and figure out how to use it to change the world, end world hunger somehow, do things like that. Stop war. Let me see. Let's keep looking at the live chat. The Paisley Wave says the advent of the CRISPR tech, if we survive, will mark the most profound evolutionary pivot point in human history. I agree. I watched something about it recently. I was reading about it too. It looks amazing, and that's what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of tech that we're creating at this time that kind of is amazing, right? So, I mean, it is amazing. I'm not kind of, but it is amazing. And other than the craft, I don't see much other talk anywhere about any other tech related to these UFOs. There used to be back in the 80s and the 90s talk about wand type objects, but that's because Whitley Strieber had said something about it, and then people started talking about it. But I have never heard, other than the tools that they use when they abduct people, like the medical equipment, that kind of stuff on the craft. I've never heard of anything really other than that. And when you hear about crashes or you hear about retrieving these and the ideas of the technology, and we talk about the flight capabilities and what that could mean, I'm like, what about all the other tech that they would probably have? What if that medical equipment on the craft, what if that's something that could totally change the medical world? We should be thinking about the whole pie, right? If we're really going to talk about this. And I've been a little hesitant to say certain things, because I feel like the moment I say that, people are like, well, because, they was coming at me with some random, it's always the simplest response. And I'm like, okay, cool. But yes, I agree. The advent of the CRISPR tech is going to be, it's a huge deal. It's right around the corner. I agree. What is this? T-Rex. Brandy Phillips. She says, hello, beautiful people. What's up, Brandy? Thank you guys, man, for joining me. It really does mean the world. Let me know how you guys started the year, right? What your goals are in 2022. Maybe related to the phenomenon. Like, what do you hope to learn? I hope, personally, to rethink how I approach this topic. Like, I don't know if I want to keep coming at this the same way as I have all these years. Because a lot of these ideas have been ingrained into me, right? They've been instilled into me by other researchers, by reading other hypotheses from people, other theories. I'm not a face-to-face experiencer. I've had some experiences in my life with other things. I've seen some strange things in the sky, but I've never been, taken on a craft or anything of that nature. So I'm still really looking for answers or just some kind of proof to help us get this conversation to the next level for everyone, not just for the military industrial complex, not just for Congress, not just for you and me and for the people. Will I find that? I don't know. Right? Like, there's been so many researchers before me, so many people like myself that have come and gone, and they didn't know too much more than what we know today, So I'm thinking maybe we're looking at the picture backwards. Maybe we're looking at it upside down. And I know that might not sit right with certain people. People that might not agree with that take. But when I hear the same concepts recycled over 50, 60, 70 years, you start to ask yourself, maybe that's why we're not seeing the full picture here. Because we keep looking at it the same way, right? We're not looking at it with any sort of new take, any sort of new idea. And anytime it's a new idea, it has literally to do with what we're willing to accept at the time, right? Their interdimensional idea came in when people were talking about the possibility that there were other dimensions. And all these ideas start popping into the woodwork. The time traveler thing. I'm telling you guys, if there's ever time travel, there's going to be time travelers right now in this reality. That's the trippiest part. If they ever invent time travel, there may be time travelers in this timeline. Maybe. Most likely. 4x4 CB. Hey, man, no need to start from the beginning. Glad to see you. Hope you had a good start to the year. Let me see. Brandy says, my goal for 2022, get pertinent information from respectable sources. Definitely. You know what's funny? Now you bring up sources. I have no inside sources. I have lots of friends in this community that I respect, right? Lots of people that I talk to. And they all have some Mr. X or somebody talking to them or somebody reaching out to them, some sort of source. And I have none. I have nobody reaching out to me. I think it's pretty funny because I'm like, maybe it makes a little sense. I mean, look at half the stuff we talked about today. I think I'm a little bit of a loose cannon at times with the way I think, right? I'm not really like, I don't know if I believe everybody right away either. I'm kind of a loose cannon in the way I approach this. But I think you should try to get sources. I think everybody should try to get sources. I'm so happy to see so many new faces coming into this community and coming into, this community here on the channel and just in general, the UFO discussion. I think it's great. I think some people may not like it as much, but they're going to have to deal with it. There's going to be a lot of people coming into this conversation soon. The more it gets talked about publicly, the more we're going to see new faces come into this conversation. I would love to maybe try to touch base or talk to people that aren't in our community. I've been thinking, like, how do I get into contact with some people that, channels or creators that aren't really into UFOs as much as we are. They're not as dedicated into this topic as we are. Maybe they just have a little interest in it. Sit down and talk to them and see what they what they think about the current state of what's happening in the media, and use that kind of as a springboard to get more people into this topic. I still think we have a lot of work to do in that area. We need to kind of still fight to normalize it, even within ourselves. The UFO Twitter circle and the communities online, they're great. They're good, right? It's good to have conversations with people, to make friends that believe in the same thing, but it's also like limits us to that, right? So if we can break past those barriers and we can somehow talk to channels that have nothing to do with us, nothing to do with this topic, and get them a little interested in it, and show them that, no, we're not tinfoil hat people. We're normal people. This has nothing to do with conspiracy theories or anything like that, right? It has no negative connotation tied to it. It's just us here, normal people searching for the truth that are interested in a certain topic. I don't know. I still think we have some work to do there, and I'm going to see what I can do for that. But let's see. Angela says, honestly, the best sources are useful, and others sharing their experiences. All is found within oneself before looking outward. Definitely. I mean, that's something I've tried to drive home a lot too, Angela. It's like, you need to find the answers for yourself. Don't trust anybody. Don't trust the UFO gurus. Don't trust me. When I talk to you and I say things here or anywhere, I'm just sharing I'm sharing with you kind of where I'm at. But you could be at a complete different spot. And that doesn't mean that we need to argue or fight about it. We're on different pages. And like, if I ever have a team of people on my side, I want everybody to have their own thoughts and their own opinions and their own takes. I don't mind sitting down with somebody that thinks that everything is a drone, right? What would Mulder be without Scully? I don't mind dealing with that, because sometimes Mulder needs Scully, right? Sometimes we do fall into those traps. I've had nights or days, weeks where I've been like researching something, and then the flaw was so obvious and so there, like right there in my face, and I didn't see it. And it was because I didn't have anybody telling me, hey, let me be the strong skeptic here in your ear and tell you why this is wrong. So definitely, it's all your own journey, your own search. You kind of gotta like figure it out for yourself, what you really want to believe when it comes to this, what you think is the truth. But at the end of the day, too, it's like the truth is the truth. So no matter what I believe, the truth will always be the truth. And that's what I'm looking for. Anonymous Rex says, you would like the YouTube channel Theory of Everything with Kurt Jamal. Yeah, it's a great channel. It's awesome. If you guys haven't checked out that channel, make sure to check it out. He does some great interviews. He did a good one with Lou Elizondo. He's done some great interviews. It's that COVID, man. It hasn't gone away. It slowly goes away, but then it still kind of affects you. But I don't really want to talk about it too much, because there's people that nothing happens to them, or they feel like it's just a cold or a flu, and there's other people that have a hard time dealing with it. I consider myself pretty healthy, and it was kind of difficult, but whatever. To each their own, right? I would say just try to be smart. That's the best thing I can say right now. I like this comment in the live chat. He says, no, it's all not drones. And so in quite desperation. It's not all drones. No, I don't believe that at all. I don't believe drones have been around for that long. I think a lot of the stuff today, look, I was talking about this months ago. I was saying that this whole conversation that we started talking about drones because we're talking about the military. We're talking about all these things. And it was like, I knew that was like the next weather balloon. You know, it's obvious. The drone is the next weather. It's the next balloon. It's the next swamp gas. And the worst part is now the capabilities of drones. If you look at FPV drones, if you look at certain drones, they are amazing machines, right? Some of them have beautiful lights on them. Some of them have static lights, so it looks like just an orb. The other day sometimes I'll share different things on Twitter that I find because I have a drone. You know, I saw somebody say today, why don't those drones ever fall out of the sky? Look, my drones never fall out of the sky. But I'm saying there's drones that can fly. Yesterday, I shared one. They just created this drone that uses, it's like has some renewable fuel in it. And it can fly for like, I think it was 13 hours it flew for. And it's a big drone. But it's also not like, you could probably, if you had money, you could buy it. And if they're showing me that on YouTube and I can just click a link and see a drone that can fly for 13 hours and halfway from San Diego to San Francisco without falling out of the sky, I think it's something we should consider, right? Not everything is going to be a UFO and not everything is going to be a drone, right? We shouldn't be afraid of it. We shouldn't be afraid of the possibility that it could be a drone. If we debunk something or we find out that something, you know, one of our best cases isn't our best case, then that's great. You get rid of it. You get rid of loose ends, right? It's like cutting off loose ends. So I hate the fact that like certain people really get lynched. I mean, like lit on fire, right? You know, they get chased with pitchforks and torches and pitchforks out of the community for saying anything regarding drones or having some sort of negative, you know, as long it sucks. Cause I'm like, dude, we might need that every once in a while. Let's get back to some positive stuff. So Paisley says, I'm excited for 2022. It brings us the Gillibrand Rubio Law, James Webb Space Telescope, the Galileo Project, and UAPX, and the growing community. I like that. I like that take. Definitely. Anonymous Rex says, yes, James Webb. Andy, what's up, man? He says, have a watch of Professor Simon Holland's video regarding UAP. I think he's cracked what may explain even some of the most weird encounters and a whole lot more. And it's way beyond drones. Definitely. I'll definitely check it out. I think you can share a link in the chat if you can. That'd be great, Andy. Professor Simon Hollins. I feel like I've looked at his work before. Is he like an older guy? He's got a YouTube channel. Our most valuable attribute is discernment. That's from Brandy. And Anonymous agrees. Let's check out the live chat. Rex says, MUFON stated to me that 5% of the reports they get are UAP. So it still remains evasive. Yeah, 100%. I really think that there are, obviously, I'm a believer in the phenomenon. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't believe in the phenomenon. But I also think, like, if we really want to have a strong future for this topic and we want to stop kind of going in circles, we need to grab the strong cases and push those forward. And the other ones that aren't strong, that could be something else, that could have a, you know, that seem more like it could be a human explanation or it has an explanation, we got to get rid of those. We can't just debate them. I mean, the other day, here's a great example. The other day, no disrespect to the person that said this to me, because I know they said it with the best intentions, and it's fine, right? I understood what they were saying. It was like, I think we were talking about Skinny Bob, and they said, well, you know, they said, you know, probably it's just a filter thrown, because I said there's a filter thrown on top, the grainy effect, and there's some, you know, some flaws in the footage that make it seem like it was a render or something created. It doesn't seem natural, the footage, right? So they said, but there is this one part of the footage They agreed with me that there was all these flaws in it, but then they said, but there is this one part of the footage where it's actual footage. It's a real alien, I think. And I was like, why would there be? I was like, maybe, you know, in the moment, I was like, maybe, because I don't know, right? There's no proof, but I was like, we do that a lot in this community. We'll be like, okay, well, maybe that story's true, but maybe this other story that they gave us is real. And I'm like, no, if one of their stories is false, it's probably all false. Not the phenomenon. I'm saying, Richard Doty is a great example. I don't believe a word that comes out of that man's mouth. And I don't care if he didn't physically, murder that UFO researcher or completely drive him insane. He was still a guy on the inside sent to befriend this guy and play with him. It's like, I don't trust a word that comes out of his mouth. So when we have things like that, like I don't listen to there's no Richard Doty stuff coming around my sphere. I might miss out on something, but whatever. If I miss out, I mean, dude he's totally a problem. I don't see why I don't see how he could get into a UFO conference without like everybody kicking him out. Like, but you got to be realistic too, right? I've had my opinions, better said, about Mick West, for example. Mick West believes what he's saying. Do I feel like sometimes he does mental gymnastics to prove what he's trying to say? Yes, I do. Do I agree with everything he says? No. Do I agree with a lot he says? No, I don't. Regarding the footage and all that, the glare and all that kind of stuff, I don't really agree with him, right? But I do know that he's not lying. He's really trying to prove his point because he believes it. He's not like, fabricating. He's not hoaxing anything. He's not like selling us, but he's telling us what he really thinks in a way that he can explain it. So there's been this whole conversation going on online with another person, like Merrick or something. I don't know his username. And he's trying to call Mick West a liar. And I actually went after millions of times saying things about, like not agreeing with Mick West and really not enjoying seeing him anywhere. I went and said, hey, if there's one thing I know about Mick West is that he's not a liar. And I think it's true. I'm sorry. Like, I don't agree with his takes. I don't agree with what he's saying sometimes. I think he is trying to explain things in the way he's playing mental gymnastics, right? But I don't think he's straight up lying. I don't think he's a straight up liar. So we need to if Mick West can debunk something, great. If I see what he's saying and I agree with it, then great, right? I won't agree always with what he's saying, but I think it's good to have a skeptical approach at times, not be blind, not be a blind skeptic or a blind believer. If you have experienced a phenomenon, then I understand how difficult that is, right, to deal with, to see people like Mick West trying to disprove stuff and debunk stuff. And there are people that are blind skeptics, but you have to be a little skeptical in this field. There are people still to this day, that have really muddied the water. I think the picture, if I'm not mistaken, the picture, for example, like the X-Files picture, the Mulder, the poster he has, I think that's an Adamski photo. I'm looking for it because I want to be right about this. By the way, the new table I'm using, it's cool. It's tall, but it's it's really small. So the mic fits, but the keyboard barely fits on here. Come on. I'm pretty sure it's an Adamski photo. Let's see. Give me a sec. I got to cough again. See? Telling you guys. It's that COVID doesn't go away forever. I'm looking at it. You'll see. I'm reading it. Let me know in the live chat if you guys know if it's an Adamski photo, but I think it's an Adamski photo in that poster. I'm just trying to say, like, there's things that really stick to this culture, like the X-Files, but like that poster, the I Want to Believe poster, that it's not credible, right? And it's people think of it automatically when they think of UFOs. They think of that poster. They think of certain things. They think of the Santilli tapes. You know, what you didn't know is the I-beams. The footage of the I-beams is part of the Santilli tapes, right? The autopsy that everyone says was debunked. Did you know that there's a movie about the Santilli tapes with two British comedians, if I'm not mistaken, and it's called, I think, The Autopsy. It's from a long time ago. It's from the 90s, where they kind of reenact it's the story of Santilli, basically. I don't know if it is. I have to rewatch it, but I saw little clips of it because in that movie, there is an autopsy recreation, right? It's like where they're walking over to the body and it kind of looks like film, like dirty film moving over, or dirty film going through a projector. And that little clip from that film was taken and shared online. And it's still to this day circulating. And people are saying that it is real footage of a dead alien and an autopsy. But it is from this obscure kind of film because nobody talks about it in our community. Literally about the Santilli tape. So it's a movie about a hoax that created, obviously, a scene in the movie. They created it in a studio on purpose for the movie that then somebody pulled that part from and created a hoax from. It's a hoax within a hoax. It's like the meta hoax. I think I'm going to do that too on the channel this year. Is I'm going to do like, I'm going to do segments, little clips, little videos where I just point these cases out to you guys and I'll break it down and I'll show you the movie. I'll show you where it came from. I'll show you what clip I'm talking about so that next time you see that clip circulating online, you can say, hey, no, I know exactly where this is from. This is not a real Area 51 autopsy. And we can stop that from happening on the internet because it continues to happen. There's literally a photo of a character from a movie called Extra, which is a space alien, but it's a horror film. And it's a skinwalker, right? It's not actually a skinwalker, but people say it's a skinwalker. And there's this photo that was shared on Facebook years ago. And a whole story was written with it, right? Like whoever posted it originally said like, oh my God, I got this photo of this creature coming out of the woods next to the road. The photo made it onto the news. And the other day I was on TikTok because sometimes I use TikTok. Yes, I use everything. And I was on TikTok and I saw a kid talking about the photo, literally a photo from years ago that is from a film. And he's like, oh, it's a skinwalker photo. Look, blah, blah, blah. And people are in the comments were like, oh my God, what is that? Oh my God. It's from a film called Extra. I've said it like a million times. I've tried to tell everybody every time I see that photo, we need to do that more often. Like, it's not a skinwalker. It's from a movie. I got to cough again. So I'm saying being skeptical at times is very powerful because you can say like, hey guys, don't focus your attention on this. Get rid of that. Let's not talk about that. It's a waste of time. You know, I've seen people the other day, somebody on Twitter shared a clip that somebody tried to sell him. Somebody tried to charge him for the clip. And it was Luckily, I had seen the clip because I was looking at like UFO art, and I found these sculptures, beautiful sculptures that, again, maybe I could do some videos on that too, like different UFO art pieces. And I shared some tweets about it, right? About these awesome like art installations. And in that, I found a Japanese artist. That the page was all in Japanese, and she had some UFO artwork. I went to that. I clicked on the picture. I checked it out, and then I went to her YouTube, all in Japanese. By the way, I found this because I was looking for UFOs in Japan, and then I went like off, like on a little tangent, and I saw some artwork from Japan, and I started looking into that, and then kind of went down the rabbit hole there. So I find this clip of this cool art piece, and it's the artist filming it walking through the gallery, and she's coming up to it. It's a UFO full craft, right? But it's an art piece, and she even did like engravings on the outside of the craft. And I saw it shared on Twitter, and I'm like, yo, this is an art piece, and it's from an artist. And the kid who shared it, or the person who shared it, I don't know if it was a kid or whatever, I feel like it's somebody younger than me maybe. And they were like, oh, thanks, you know. And I keep trying to tell people, like, hey, when I do tell you where this is from, don't take it the wrong way. I understand you're not going to be like going down the rabbit hole onto a Japanese webpage, going down to a link to a Japanese account and finding that video. And the dude that tried to sell him this clip, I mean, that is garbage. I'm saying there are people like that. And I went to find out, I tried to find out who this person was, because I saw in the clip they had like taken it from, I guess, that account. So I could see like, you know, how some people will put like their names in the clips, their user account names in the clips. So I found the dude's account. The dude has a paranormal channel, a channel dedicated to looking for answers, right? No, I'm saying there are so many of these channels, and people in our community right now are labeling awesome channels UFOtainment. And I'm like, oh, I was warning you guys about it months ago, because people were coming at me with it and getting under my skin about it. And I was like, I don't get if they're calling me UFOtainment or what they're talking about. And now it's just people are throwing it around left and right. And I'm like, dude, there are really big channels out there that have profited off of creating or sharing things that they knew were fake. I mean, how could this guy try to sell this clip to this person when it wasn't even his clip? But the artist would never find out, because the artist was some, you know, small Japanese artists that would never know unless that clip went viral. So that's what I'm trying to say. And when I say, like, back to the topic of this video, you know, we're going off the walls a little bit here. I had so much to talk about. It's been so long since I've been able to sit down and talk to you guys. Rethinking how we approach the topic. Just think that a lot of the ideas that we talk about today have been kind of passed through a game of telephone for the last 50, 60, 70 years. It's literally been recycled and pushed and talked about. I shared a song yesterday on Twitter from 1947. And let me see if I can open this up. Show you guys. Maybe I can finally learn how to use it. Now the internet's working good, I can finally use StreamYard correctly. Let me see. Give me a sec. See, guys, I'm coughing still. Don't get COVID. Trust me. You guys know already, before, I kind of always have a little cough when it gets cold, or I have the air on a lot in here. So this is like every so often I got a cough now. I hope it goes away soon. People were telling me it lasts like 2 or 3 weeks. So let me see. I was going to show you guys this clip here, this song that I found yesterday that I thought was fascinating, because what they're talking about in the song. Here we go. I found it. Let's see. Back to StreamYard. I wonder if let's see Windows. Brave tab. Let's do Twitter. All right. You guys can see this here. So this is this song. If you're listening to this as a podcast, you can't see it, but I'm going to name this song. So it's the Butchman Brothers, When You See Those Flying Saucers. It's a gospel tune from 1947. The person that uploaded this video put UFO-based hillbilly gospel tune. But it's a good song. I'm not going to play it because I'll probably get like some copyright strike or something. But it's a good song. I put the song for my end credits. When I said that, I was imagining. Wait, I got to cough again. Sorry. Sorry. There's always something wrong, huh? If it's not my camera, if it's not the internet, now I'm coughing. But I'm having a great time. I'm really enjoying talking to you guys. It's been a long time, and I really did miss sitting down with you guys. Let me show you guys this, and I'm going to jump back into the live chat. All right, so this is the song. I said this song is for my end credits because I imagine this song playing like as, I don't know, the MIB finally get me, they whack me, they throw me in a trunk, and then this hillbilly song just plays in the background, this country tune. I don't know why they put hillbilly. That's kind of like an insulting way to name it. I shouldn't have said that either, but I'm saying it because it was there. But I liked the song. I thought it was good. So the lyrics are, "You'd better pray to the Lord when you see them flying saucers." So there's like a religious, because it's a gospel tune, right? So I said, this is what those people in the government that think UFOs are demonic listen to as a joke. And I shared it because I wanted to see what people thought. And the lyrics are like, "You'd better pray to the Lord when you see those flying saucers. It may be the coming of the judgment day, the end of the world," right? It's a sign. There's no doubt of the trouble that's about. So there's trouble, right? It says bad old flying saucers. So I say, my friends, you'd better start to pray. They're a terrifying sight as they fly on day and night. It's a warning that we'd better mend our ways. I'm reading this the wrong way. I should be reading this like, wait, again. I should be reading this like, "You'd better pray the Lord when you see them flying saucers. It may be coming of the judgment day," because that's how they sing it. "It's a sign, there's no doubt of the trouble that's about. So I say, my friends, you'd better start to pray." So yeah, this song has the lyrics, like what they're saying, like the judgment day. How many people say like, now that the flying saucers are coming, it's the end of the world, it's the atonement? How many times have we heard that? The religious connection. You better pray because they're demonic. I heard that a million times. The trouble, the negative aspect of the phenomenon, the trouble that's about. And there's something here too. It says many people think the saucers might be some foolish dream, right? So there's the skeptics, or maybe they were sent down here from Mars. So this was in 1947. So this is before we had rovers on Mars. So they could still say maybe they're from Mars. And now we can't really say that as confidently as you could before people knew what was really going on up there. If you'll just stop and think, you'd realize just what it means. So if you stop and think about the phenomenon, maybe you'll realize what it means. And here they say they're more than atom bombs or falling stars. They're more than atom bombs. So there we have this weapon connection. You know, I'm saying these guys in 1947 are talking about the phenomenon, and there's still people today saying this kind of stuff in our communities. I'm saying we need to like rethink how we look at this topic, man. All this whole conversation we've had tonight was literally to get to this point. Is like, could it be that we are looking at this topic backwards, upside down? We're missing the point. We're missing the big picture. Because if these dudes are saying this in 1947, I mean, we got to change something. And I'm telling you personally, from somebody that spent a lot of time looking into the past is important because it lets you focus and understand when you're here in the present. When you hear the same phrases being said, the same ideas being shared, you're like, wait a minute, this has got us nowhere over the last 50 years. So let's try and change the way we think a little bit. What does that entail? I don't know, my friends. It's the beginning of 2022. So I'm still trying to figure that out, right? I'm still trying to see like where I really want to go with it. But I'm saying, I'm putting that challenge out there to you guys. Think about the tropes. Think about the classic ideas that continually get shared. Think about that. Can I point at it? I can't. Here. Think about this flying saucer right here. Right? Where are the flying saucers at? It's been a minute since we've seen some flying saucer cases. Right? It's been a minute since we've seen any cases, big cases outside of the military cases. We're all focused on these military cases. And we're losing focus of the whole picture, of the big picture. The big picture is this phenomenon goes where it wants. It does what it wants. It interacts with who it wants. It is not just going over Navy vessels. It is not just messing with nukes. It is messing with people. Because there are experiencers out there that are claiming that this phenomenon is visiting them and interacting with them and intervening in their lives. Right? So focus on the big picture and remember, think for yourselves, right? Think for yourselves, man. Even if you lose friends for it, even if you lose whatever, think for yourselves. Never be afraid to speak your mind. I like that Angel sharing her story in the live chat. Thank you, Angel, for sharing your experiences in the live chat. When I say these things, just remember, like, if you are an experiencer, I still believe experiencers are one of the most important aspects of this whole conversation. I don't think I'll ever change that opinion. I was really angry the other day when I heard a report that was talking about the Gillibrand Amendment, and they were saying that they were going to focus on cases of servicemen and women that had encountered effects from close encounters. And when they said that, I was like, wait a minute, but if they're affecting servicemen and women, they've got to be affecting normal everyday people, all the experiencers out there that are just having close encounters. So you shouldn't just be focusing on servicemen and women. You should be focusing on every man and woman that you can to figure out what's going on. Right? It's too focused. That's the only thing that's really bothering me, is getting under my skin. It's too focused on that aspect of the conversation. I'm not saying they shouldn't focus on servicemen and women, of course, right? I'm saying they need to focus on the everyday average citizen. I don't want it to lose that. I mean, it's never been that way. It's never been that way. And we need it to be that way. There's a lot of people out there that are experiencing this. There's kids, young people out there that are experiencing this, and they don't have anybody to turn to and talk to. They're not going to want to talk to some government program about it. I'm saying there's people out there that are not going to want to, they're not going to want to deal with that. Go watch Steven Spielberg's Taken. That's all I'm going to say. It's cheesy. There's some cheesy parts, but go watch it for sure. Thank you guys for being here. Those of you that are here. I see some people jumping on and jumping off. Like, I keep seeing like 2 people come on and 2 people come off. I don't know what's going on with that. But the rest of you, thank you. It's awesome to see you guys here. And I want to also tell you guys, if I ever say anything that you don't agree with, just know that we can still be friends, right? We can still talk. You can still tune in. You can still share your ideas, even if I don't agree with them either. I think it's good. It's healthy. It's kind of the only way to really formulate something for yourself, just to hear different ideas and takes and work with them, or figure out why they see things a certain way. I don't know. Andy says, I'm not, but some areas are. He says, look at history, always been there. Any reason to encourage mistrust in the establishment is a great way of recruiting and always saving the babies. I don't know what that was because I missed the rest of the conversation. Morcavia says, some believes some orbs in the sky are saucers just within a gravitational envelope. Oh, I like that, Morcavius. And yes, some do believe that. I agree. Andy says, plasma causes all sorts of issues. Professor Holland explains all crazy stuff. Okay, I'm definitely going to look into Professor Holland. All right, guys, so it's been an hour and a half. But I want to say again, thank you for being here. And my 2022 resolution is to try to figure out a way to look at this topic differently and to not box myself into a corner. And I hope that all you guys, whatever your resolution is, if it has to do with the phenomenon or not, like mine, I hope you guys accomplish it. And if you don't beat yourself up about it. Life will continue. You know, time is but a number, just like age. And we'll talk soon. I'm glad to be back. Expect more content. Expect not just lives, but content, and maybe some interviews too with people. I'm going to try and get some more people on the channel this year. So thank you guys. Remember, this is really to sit down and talk to you guys. I hope you guys feel like you get to kick it with me for a minute and disconnect and just share whatever you want to in the live chat. I want to thank you guys for always being respectable too in the live chat. And this should be up as a podcast this week. And yeah, thank you guys for being awesome. And do me a favor. Be open-minded. Be an unconventional thinker. And never stop searching for the truth. And we'll talk soon, guys.